it's the fear that I really had to work on, the fear around being out of control. But we are not, none of us are completely in control. If we've learned anything this last year, we are not in control. There are many things that are outside of our control. And so I just needed to realize that, not to be afraid of that loss of control, of, every single thing being perfect in order for me to be able to function. Like that's not sustainable. That's not reality. I had to be able to work with the world and, be able to dispel that fear so that it's not holding me back from whatever it is.
I know diet was like a huge part for you, and you have a large focus from what I can see when I can follow along on your adventures on diet. And you so tell me more about, how you navigate that space. Some of the principles that have worked for you. Have you find a lot of your principles are just like rock solid and you have your standards? Do you find some of them are temporary? Have some of them become malleable, or are you just like, I'm curious to hear where you're at with diet, because I do appreciate, the level of, sharing that you go to around your diet. I kind of skirt around the conversation myself.
Well, I've learned a lot. Like, I know it works for my body, and I've seen what works for a lot of people that have any sort of addiction or like to Adderall, or they're having depression or anxiety or some sort of cognitive function issue or adrenal depletion. But, I've myself learned that it's okay to change your mind. Like, I used to be hardcore intermittent fasting. I think I intermittent fasted every single day for almost 2 years and completely lost my period. And, no longer was able to build muscle tone because I tanked. My testosterone was just pulling from my adrenals. I didn't even have fatigue. I was just like kind of puffy and no period. And it was bizarre. So I learned that intermittent fasting is not, the set structure for everybody. And that's the only way to live. But that's what I used to do. I used to wake up with that bulletproof coffee with the ghee and the MCT and the whole nine, and just like live on that until lunch. But my diet now, which pretty much has been the same since I got off, but like for the most part, I'd say I was really strict for a long time, which was I wouldn't touch a grain. So rice, quinoa, gluten, wheat, whatever it is, no grains whatsoever. And then I would eat like low brassica vegetables. So I don't eat kale, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts for the most part. So I would eat a lot of arugula and butter lettuce for my actual salads. And I would eat things like, asparagus, zucchini, certain things like that. Not a lot of cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale. Definitely no kale. The reason being is that I also have had, who knows, my blood test says that it's not there anymore, but PCOS, which gave me Hashimoto's. So when I was doing my research around Hashimoto's, I realized how, crazy kale was on the thyroid. So I just stopped eating it and I started feeling better, but it also affected my energy. So I was feeling better, and I was also less bloated and gassy. I'd eat one of those vegetables and I could fly myself to New York on the amount of gas that I would produce. So yeah. So I realized, that's just not for me. So that's what I really do. I like to eat like as if I were stuck on a farm or in the wild, and all I could do would be hunt, gather, fish, grow, pick, that type of thing. And if I could do one of those things, then I could eat it. So I wouldn't snack a lot, not a lot of packaged foods, things like that. Just things that grow from the ground. If I want to starch, then it's like potato, sweet potato. But for me, I tend to eat those things at night because they spike my insulin, and I usually get tired, or they're just too weighty. So if I have them for lunch, I usually have a really bad crash afterwards. So I'll eat those things at night. Sometimes I try to eat them cold because they're more starch resistant. But other than that, I think, before this podcast started, you said, I met a new boy, and that also changed the way I ate a little bit. I realized in my relationship with him is that he eats everything. He's like a dude, not into health and wellness. I mean, he'll listen to me like go off at him and be a sport when I see him eating certain things that make my skin crawl. But other than that, he has really healed me when it comes to freedom around food. So he comes from a Persian culture, and they have this amazing rice dish called taddy. And it's basically like fried rice at the bottom, like so fried and crispy, like this crispy flat layer. And it's so tasty and good. And what I've realized is with him and through our culinary experiences and just, I don't know if it's the feeling of being in a relationship where I feel like safe and held and loved or what it was, but my rigidity around my diet wasn't like, I can't eat that. Like all of a sudden, like he's having some French fries, I'll have some of his French fries, and it's not, I would never have touched a French fry before. So like as if my body is going to explode if I touched that one French fry.
Yeah. It's like when you've gone, when you've been full Catholicized, and you think if you step outside the discipline of religion that you're going to go to hell, and it's this full cathartic experience, and you eat the chip and you're like, hang on a second. I'm
still here. Whoa. Like it was pretty eye-opening.